Welcome to the Stylo News Intelligence Update. Our focus today is Iran, a nation that has reached a critical flashpoint, caught between a powerful internal revolt and unprecedented international pressure.
This program is sponsored by ProWave AI, the developer of Stylo Intel Ops and Stylo News, which are available on the web and on mobile.
The date is Friday, February 6, 2026. As we've said, our focus is Iran. We're witnessing a situation where a widespread internal uprising is colliding directly with intense pressure from the international community. So, let's break down exactly what's unfolding.
To really understand the full picture, we have to begin on the ground, inside Iran itself. The nation is in a state of turmoil, and it all started with an uprising of its own citizens.
And events have escalated with remarkable speed. This really began in late December, with protests that were initially about the economy, specifically a collapsing currency. But by early January, that frustration had evolved into direct calls for regime change. The regime's Revolutionary Guard, the IRGC, responded with widespread crackdowns, and by the end of the month, reports began to surface of foreign militias being deployed in Tehran to help suppress the dissent.
Now, if you look at this map, you'll see this isn't a story confined to the capital. The protests aren't just happening in Tehran, they're erupting in major cities across the country, from Yaz to Isfahan and all the way to Zahedan. This really illustrates just how widespread this movement is. Of course, there are two completely different narratives explaining why this is happening. On one side, the protesters will tell you this is the result of a collapsing economy, crushing inflation, and a deep-seated desire for political freedom. The Iranian government, on the other hand, maintains that this is not a domestic issue at all. They claim it's being instigated by foreign powers, namely the United States and Israel, in an effort to destabilize the nation.
The regime's response has been severe. The crackdown is being led by the IRGC, with reports of live fire being used on demonstrators, which has resulted in thousands of deaths. We're also seeing mass arrests in multiple provinces and, as we mentioned, the deployment of foreign militias. In addition to the physical response, there have been widespread internet blackouts designed to prevent protesters from communicating and organizing.
Now, as these internal events continue to unfold, the rest of the world has begun to respond. A ring of international pressure is tightening, adding another layer of complexity to the situation.
First, the United States has deployed the USS Abraham Lincoln Carrier Strike Group to the region. This is a significant projection of military force, and it sends a clear message that the situation is being monitored at the highest levels.
Then came a major diplomatic move from Europe. The European Union voted to designate the Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps as a terrorist organization. This is a substantial step, intended to isolate the IRGC both politically and financially.
And it isn't just the traditional global powers. Argentina has also designated the Quds Force, which is the IRGC's external operations unit, as a terrorist entity. This demonstrates a broadening international coalition taking a similar stance.
This chart helps put the diplomatic pressure into a clear visual context. The United States has had this designation for some time. The European Union has now voted to do the same, and the United Kingdom, which has already sanctioned the IRGC, is currently debating the full designation. You can see the diplomatic alignment taking shape.
Let's turn now to what may be the most crucial element of this entire situation: what is happening inside the Iranian regime itself. There are emerging signs that the foundations of the ruling establishment may be starting to fracture.
An analysis from Foreign Affairs notes that, quote, insider tensions are emerging, especially within the Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps, IRGC, which is divided between older loyalists and younger, more pragmatic officers. A division within the IRGC is particularly significant, as it's widely considered the regime's center of power.
And we're seeing other evidence of this internal strain. There are reports of high-level corruption among senior commanders, Iranian diplomats who are reportedly seeking asylum abroad, and increasingly public disputes between political factions. And consider this, the regime's reliance on foreign militias suggests a potential lack of trust in its own domestic forces to manage the unrest.
That brings us to the latest intelligence. This remains a highly fluid situation, and recent events give us a snapshot of just how quickly things are changing.
Let's return to the map to pinpoint where the most recent key events are taking place. We're tracking developments in Tehran and Yazd within Iran, but also, importantly, in Istanbul, Turkey, which appears to be a venue for high-level diplomacy.
Within just the last 24 hours, there have been reports of diplomatic talks between the U.S. and Iran in Istanbul. At the same time, a significant fire of unknown origin was reported in Tehran, and authorities announced a new wave of arrests of alleged protest organizers in the city of Yazd.
All of this brings us to the central, unresolved question. As these immense internal and external pressures converge, how will the Iranian regime respond?
If you want to better understand the potential answers to that question, we have a much deeper analysis available for you.
For a comprehensive analysis of the protests, the international sanctions, and the growing risk of a wider regional conflict, we invite you to listen to the full Stylo News Intelligence Update podcast, titled Flashpoint Iran.
It's available now on your favorite podcast platform, or you can access it directly through the link included with this post.
Thank you for joining us for this Stylo News Intelligence Update.
And for AI-powered news on demand, you can subscribe to Stylo News at stylonews.com. Stay informed.